Hello everyone, this is a quick demo of the new PDF highlighter extension for Roam. While we are waiting for the code review, I thought that it's a good idea to share a sort of tutorial or what to expect video with you. So this is a new viewer, and it has most of the requested features. So you have thumbnail here, you can change the page transition, page orientation, and rotate, and so forth. So different zoom levels, and let's change it back to single page and fit to page. And you have search, and you have list of all highlights, and let's see, you have full screen button is still not functional. You can download the highlighted PDF. I'm going to talk about this later in the video. And you have dark mode, light mode. I'm going to talk about these two buttons and these input field. And this is basically it. We have a view mode, which you can just select the text and copy it. But in Annotate mode, you have annotation, different sort of annotation, highlight, underline. You're familiar with this. And rectangle is basically the area highlight. So this is equivalent to area highlight for PDF highlighter version 1. And you have freehand, and you have shapes. So you have, so you have, for example, polygon, circle, and so forth. So these are just some basics. You are already familiar with how a PDF viewer works, so nothing new here. Let's talk about basic functionalities. So let's go back to Annotate. So if you highlight, you get these highlights, and there's corresponding highlight on your Roam graph, and you should think about it as a triplet. So the first part is the highlight data, so basically how this is represented in general. So this is not something readable. And the highlight text, or the main highlight that you have, and then reference to that highlight. So what you see, for example, here is the reference to the highlight. And so the reference to the highlight is here. It's similar to the previous version. So you have a couple of buttons here that I'm going to explain, but basically this jumps into the highlight place on the PDF page. And if the PDF is closed, it's going to open it and jump to the correct place. So this is a reference to your actual highlight. And so here's an example. So this is the main highlight. So, and this is distinguished by this border, this red border. And a reference to it is going to be something like this. And this is the highlight data. So regularly, you are not going to access this page. So this is the page that I store the data for highlights or annotations in general. So you're going to work with the block reference to highlight text. Okay, so far so good. And what else? Oh, okay, so this time this is dynamic in a sense that you can update this. It's going to get updated here. You can change the color of it. It's going to change the color here on your graph. And yeah, so this is about the text highlight. Let's go to area highlight. So let's change the color to this, change the fill color to this, and select something. Okay, so let's see. Introduction. Okay. So this is going to generate an image of this part and show it on your graph. So let's change the opacity to something else. And you see that whenever I update this, something happens here. So basically what happens is that now I am uploading the image file on your into your Roam graph. So previously it was on our server. Now everything is on your Roam graph. And let's see. So let's increase opacity. You see that whatever you do is going to upload a new image. And for example, if I change the size, I want to include this part also in the image. This gets updated. Okay. So this is cool. What else? So in Annotate, you can add annotation. In View, you cannot add annotation. And I need to fix this. You can update the existing annotation, which you shouldn't be able to do. So the idea was for View to prevent any modification of the highlight. So currently you cannot add anything, but you can update the previously existing annotation. And what else? Okay, so these two buttons. So if you go to Annotate, so and if you hover over any of the buttons, you see a note. So here you see that copy block reference. So this determines the thing that gets copied into your clipboard after each highlight. So for example, currently I've set it to copy block reference. So when I select something, it's going to copy a block reference to the main highlight in my clipboard, into my clipboard. So for example, if I paste it here, I see the highlight here, also here. And if you take a look at the highlight, you see that there is a named color tag for it, and there's a block reference. So this name color, I added it to be able to filter stuff. So for example, here you can filter based on color, based on red, green, or whatever. So this is extra, but you can also work with the block reference itself without any issue. Okay, so let's see if this works. Yeah, so it jumps to that. Okay, so this is about copy behavior or clipboard behavior, you can say. So the other option is pin. So instead of copying a block ref, it's going to copy a pin, which is in reality just an alias to this. So this is an alias to the actual highlight, and you can see the highlight here, right? Okay, so let's delete everything here. And yeah, so that's about it. And the third option is nothing. So some of you wanted to have your own clipboard without any intervention. So nothing is copied here into the clipboard. Okay, and the second button is about printing mode. So you're already familiar with the cousin mode or the child mode. So this is the cousin mode. So this shows that there's a common ancestor here. And this is nothing, so it's not going to print any block reference to the highlight. And this is the child mode. So you have like two parents, and this is the child. So this is how to read the icon. So for example, if I change it to child mode and select this new color and do this, you see that nothing is printed here. But if I go down, you see that under the PDF, I have this highlight. Okay, so that's it. So the main part of the first header is quite familiar. These two buttons are for copy behavior and print behavior after you have annotated the PDF. Okay, one more thing about highlight is the pop-up menu. So you see that you can delete the highlight. And if you delete it, it's going to delete the main highlight from your graph. So the one that I showed you in your data page, on your data page. And also it's going to delete all of the block references to the main highlight. So I delete this, this should gets deleted, this block. Okay. And so we have change color. You can add comments here. And what else? Let's see. These two are Roam related. So this is going to open all of the mentions of your highlight on your graph. So I open this. This shows that, okay, this is my main highlight. I'm not going to mess around with this. And these are two places that I have reference to this main highlight. Remember that I just copied this here. Okay, so all the mentions are shown here. Okay, so let's close this. And for those of you who did not want anything in your clipboard and you did not want anything to print on your graph, the idea is if you want, you can copy a block reference to this highlight, even if you don't have it anywhere. And like you highlight many things on your PDF file, but you select a few and you copy the block ref and you paste it here and it's there. Okay, so that's about it. Two new buttons here, two new pop-up menu buttons here. And yeah, so I'm going to talk about this in a few minutes. Before that, I just wanted to show this. So now the highlights are synced between all of the instances of the block that you're editing. So for example, if I change this to yellow and I close it and highlight here, it gets reflected here. So this is good for the case that, oh, I'm looking at supplement, I'm looking at references. For example, I open the same PDF file at multiple locations and jump around. Whatever you highlight, it's going to get reflected here. And again, the same concept. So if you change the color here, it's going to change here. If you delete something here, it's going to get deleted here. So that's cool. It's very dynamic, but it's cooler if you have multiple collaborators on the same graph. So you can annotate and that person can see your changes. So I'm not going to demo that, but this is working. So yeah, so for example, for journal clubs, for Roam book club, for example, so people can read the same documents and co-annotate together. Okay. and each highlight is going to have a different author. So this is the name of the current user of this graph, and yeah, so if you have multiple users highlighting single PDF, it's going to have their own names. Okay, so what else? Another cool feature is the concept of version. So this PDF was uploaded into Roam, and this is the link. It's a Fireburst link, and it has its own like iframe, but I can reuse this in another block, and it's going to show me a new PDF file. So let's try to copy this. I copy this, I don't know, let's copy it here. So this is going to be a fresh copy of this, and it's going to have its own annotation. So let's see. Waiting for. Right. So it took a few seconds to load this, but okay. So this is another version of the same PDF file, and I can highlight it with different colors. And this is the version name, so I can call this purple. And okay, the cool thing is that you can view different versions of the same PDF file in any place. So here in the view mode, I have this drop-down menu of multiple versions of this. And you see that I have the purple here, which I just created. So if I go here, I can see this. So now every user can highlight its own version of the PDF file and name it, or you can just go with the block name. So this is like the UID of the block. This is the block reference value of some version. I didn't bother to name it. And you can view those highlights. So I have, for example, a red version somewhere. You see that it's messy. And I have a green version. Okay. So yeah, so then you can take a look at any version of this PDF, because the research process is messy. I have had this happen to me multiple times, that I've uploaded the same PDF file in many different places and annotated it several times. And I had no idea that this is the same PDF file. And I've already have some notes about it. So yeah, so but an interesting point here is that this is not just about this link. So if you upload the same PDF file, this paper, this Urban Grand Challenges in Single-Cell Data Science, it's going to detect it and pull all of the corresponding annotation in one place. So for example, so let's close this. So I'm going to new PDF upload. And this is my new highlights. Okay, so I'm going to upload something from my desktop. Okay, so the link is different. So we can compare it. So I don't know, EEC6. This one is something else. And okay, just wait a few seconds. And if you go to the view mode, it shows you all of the other highlights of the same paper. Okay, it detects that this is the same paper. Okay, so this is really cool. So I call these versions, but yeah, so if you have better name, please share. And the idea is that you should not be able to edit other people's version, but I think I still need to figure this out because, yeah, so I've disabled all the menus, but I forgot to disable like highlight manipulation. So I'm going to fix this soon. But yeah, so you should be able to view all other versions in a read-only mode. But when you switch back to Annotate, so this is your new version. So this is my new version. And if I go back to view, I have it as new version. I can switch back and forth between other versions. Okay. So yeah, so this is really cool because it prevents you from redoing the stuff. It helps you read, for example, your collaborator's notes on the same PDF or same paper and your previous self notes, for example. So another cool thing is that you can also edit a block reference to a PDF block. So I copy a block reference to this one. I paste it here. This is going to generate another PDF, another version of the same PDF. So this is brand new. I can highlight it. I think sometimes the name box does not load properly. So you need to refresh it somehow. Right. And so this is block ref version. So the timing is still an issue. Like I need to wait a few seconds between some operations, which I think it's tolerable. Okay. So now again, going back to view, you see that I have other versions and this is my version. So if I do this, go back to block ref version, I see it as this. Okay. Yeah, I think there's an issue with this. So I'm still debugging. So you see that if I edit a block reference, it seems that it's not showing the name here. I need to fix this. Okay, so this is all cool. Okay, so let's delete this. So the other cool thing is that if you delete a version, it's going to delete reference. It's going to retain the highlights. So I haven't deleted this highlight. So if I go here in the view mode, I should still see the block reference version. Even if I've deleted it, the highlights still exist here. And yeah, so I can imagine cases that you want to delete everything. I can implement that, but for now, it persists. So if you ever take a note, unless you directly delete that note, it's going to be on your graph. Okay, cool. So another highly anticipated feature was import. So let's have imported PDF here, and this is my highlights. And I have highlighted a version of the same paper. And let's close this. Let's upload this. So I highlighted this on my computer using the software. And when it gets loaded, you see that it jumps around and you should wait. So this only happens on the first, whenever you upload the PDF file for the first time. And you should wait for the program to go over all of the highlights, copy the text, and pass it to Roam and save it. And now you have these highlights on your Roam graph. So if I open this, I see it here. And all of the operations, it's going to work. So, right. So this is basically the import. It's going to take a few seconds again. So if I wanted to do it without any delay, it would be messy. It's going to cause trouble. So if you have a large PDF file which has many highlights, it's going to take a few seconds. So yeah, it's because of the delay. So the delay is intentional. Okay, so import is cool. So the import is not working with area highlights for now. So it only supports text. Okay, what else? And I think the last cool feature is, let's delete this. The last cool feature is, and you see that based on the mode, the print mode, when I imported these, imported highlights from this PDF, it printed it here. Okay. The last cool thing that I wanted to talk about is, let's go here, is comments. So the issue with comments is that there's a single place for each highlight that you can add or delete or edit comments. So this is my first comment, and this is a reply. Okay, so, but this highlight exists in multiple places on your graph because you can have block reference to the main highlight text. So the central place that I keep the comments is under the main highlight text. So opening it shows it. So you see that these are all of the mentions of these highlights on your graph. So this is a block ref, and you can tell by the fact that the buttons are hidden, and yeah, so you need to hover over it to see the buttons, and the fact that this one has this distinct border and highlights, buttons are not changing. And you see that whatever I have here, I get it here. So this is the central place for comments. So the idea is that you do your thinking, you take notes, and then you want to commit something visual on your PDF file so that if you return, you see the summary, you see the comments from your colleague, and so forth. So this needed to get connected to the same central place here on your graph. And this is a bidirectional connection. So this is a reply from Roam, but you need to click on this to register it. Okay. And you see that it gets updated here. And again, delays are intentional because there is no way around it. And then if you edit this, you were, and save it, it's going to get updated here. If you delete it from here, it's going to get updated here. But every time you need to push this button. And if you have a block reference and you click on the comment, it's going to open the main highlight block, and then you can write your comment and click on this. Okay, and I forgot to introduce all the buttons because you're already familiar with most of them. So just a recap. So this is for jumping around. So jump to a location. This is going to remove the highlight. This is going to commit a comment. So if it's if it's a block ref, it's going to open the main one, and then you need to comment and then commit it, or reply and commit it. And then this is replaced with text. So if you click on this, you see that there are too many things around it. So these are all metadata for the highlights, so I needed them. And but if you want to replace it with text, you cannot use the roam functionality, because you will have all of these extra stuff in your text. So the idea is that click on this, it's going to clean it up, and because it's not dimension, again, it's not dimension of this highlight, it vanished from here, but I can go down here and see this. So you see that this has converted to text. So just to show it again, so this is a new highlight, and I'm going to change it to text. Okay, so talked about the buttons and comments, and okay, so I think this was also very much requested, and this is export. So if you press download, it's going to download the highlighted PDF file, which is cool. The only issue is that it's going to have this watermark. So you see that there is a PDFTron watermark, and PDFTron is the viewer that I'm using. So I'm just using the free, basically API or free viewer of it. So I'm not using any paid version of it. And for that, they're going to stamp your PDF pages with their watermark. And yeah, so maybe in the future, if enough number of people are interested in paying for this, we get a license and remove this. But yeah, for now, I mean, this is not distorting the PDF in any shape, so it's pretty much readable. But if you download it, it's going to be there. And one issue, which I think is a minor issue, is that this watermark is going to change the PDF in a way that if you re-upload the same PDF, I cannot detect it. So the whole version thing is going to miss the new PDF, and that's the whole point of watermark. It's like changing the whole file so that it's unique, for example, and it's not easily removable. So because of that, yeah. So if you edit something, highlight something, download it, and re-upload it, you cannot use the versioning. And yeah, so maybe in the future, if we purchase a license for this, it's going to get resolved. Okay, and finally the data page. So I've tried my best to prevent you from messing around with the data page. So for example, this is a block reference, but you cannot double click it. You cannot double click it like any other block reference. You don't have any access to the right click menu of block reference. And if you open a highlight, you see that even if this is showing you all of the mentions of this highlight, you don't see any breadcrumb that can take you to the highlight data page. So basically, I'm trying to remove all of the things that you can take you to the data page, because you don't want to mess around with the highlight data. But I cannot prevent you from going to all pages and find something like this, Roam.js, PDF data, whatever, and take a look. So I thought that it's better to show you how it looks like, so that yeah, you don't be curious to take a look yourself. Okay, so this is a unique identifier of the PDF, which is the way that I determined you determine each PDF file uniquely. So even if they're on different blocks, even if they are uploaded on different URLs. So, and these are the URLs. And you see that I have reused URLs, for example. So this URL have been reused many times. And I think this is maybe once, yes, just to show you the structure. So this is for unique PDF file. This is for, this level is for unique PDF URLs. And under that is for unique blocks. So, and you see that these are like block UIDs or block reference IDs. And if you remember in the view mode, you saw some of them because they were not named. So the name is whatever block UID. So for example, this is KHTH, whatever. And you see here that I have KHTH. Okay. So these are for block URLs. Then you see that the version names are here, red version, green version, so forth. Okay, and if I open one of them, this is the data of that highlight. So coordinates, color, ID, you see this long ID, and is it a comment or not, and so forth. So this is encoding whatever you need to see the same highlight when you come back to Roam. Okay, so nothing is saved on our server. Everything is on your graph. And this is the text of that highlight, which is extracted and gets referenced to in multiple places. And these are the comments. Okay, and you see that some of them don't have any text. This is because, for example, this I think is a reply. So this is reply to something. I think this is reply to this one. Yes, so this is reply to this text UID. So you see that because the text of this is already here, I don't have any text under this. And these are all replies, I think. And going down, okay, so this is a area highlight. Going down, okay, and I forgot to mention this, that you can use these, and if you use this, it's going to also show up, for example, underline. It's going to show up on your graph as underline. Squiggly highlight, for example, it's going to be here, and you get the idea. Okay, I wanted to show you other types of highlights. So, for example, this is free handwriting highlights. This is polygon. So you see that there is no corresponding text here. And let's see, let me open up the red version. You can open up the red version by clicking on one of these buttons. And you see that this is like, this has many highlights. So if I open it in the main page, close it here, and show you the data page, the corresponding data page, and how things get added here. So, for example, here, green, add this, you see that's highlight data, highlight text. If I add area highlight, okay, and if let's change it to shape. If I add a circle, this doesn't have any text. Okay, and then freehand also. So this is not freehand, this is in highlight. I mean, because it has many more coordinates, you can imagine that it's going to increase the load on your roam graph. So you should decide yourself if you want to do that or not, but it's doable. And yeah, so that's about it. So the last part was for people who are interested in implementation details, and if you want to share your ideas, or if you want to borrow ideas from my implementation, you're welcome. Okay, thank you everyone, and hope you enjoy it. And please share your thoughts about this extension. I think if you have solid suggestions, the best place to post them is on the corresponding GitHub project. So yeah, thank you everyone.